Hello everybody, it is Stella from New Hope Wellbeing and we are back with another video. I hope everybody has enjoyed their weekend. We had a beautiful weather this weekend. It was a beautiful 31 degrees yesterday. Love that. So very happy about that. Today unfortunately has been cloudy and rainy, but that is Melbourne for you. Gives you one beautiful day and then followed by a not so beautiful day. And everyone who's been to Melbourne knows we do get literally the 4 seasons in one day here. But anyway, I hope everybody's had their great weekend and I hope everybody is ready for the upcoming full moon that's in a couple of nights' time. So it's going to be another super moon, so have everybody get prepared and let's welcome in the full moon energy. So I know last week I said that I would be back onto doing crystals this week, but shortly after I actually filmed last week's video in relation to the oils and hair care, I came across this recipe for an all-natural hair mousse. And I was a bit excited because something that my mum and I have been actually speaking about lately has been that we're finding that a lot of the hair mousses that we once were buying just no longer seem to work the way that they used to. Like they no longer seem to define the curls like they used to. They seem to just make our hair more frizzy, which not great. Not exactly what you want your curly hair to look like. So I saw this recipe and I was like, you know what? It's all natural, perfect, and let's give it a shot. And most of the stuff is stuff that I literally do generally have in the cupboard. So this is my nicely washed hair using the mousse that I made. So the ingredients, it's only 3 ingredients for the base recipe, which is super fantastic. The first one is coconut oil, and I know we spoke about coconut oil in last week's videos, but it's back on the agenda this week for this recipe. Next one is shea butter. So we didn't speak about this last week, but it is actually very nourishing for hair as well, especially curly hair, which does, unfortunately, curly hair does typically lack moisture. So if you can pump as much moisture in as possible, it actually does help. So shea butter. And the last ingredient is aloe vera gel. So all things that typically I have in the cupboard, especially coming into summer and a lot of sun, aloe vera and shea butter is definitely something that I do generally use a lot of, especially after a beach day. So the recipe in itself is actually fairly easy. I kind of did manipulate it a little bit yesterday just because it was such a warm day. So the recipe itself is so step 1 is combining 2 tablespoons of the shea butter, and the aloe vera. Sorry, I'm kind of like banging things down a bit. Oh, no, the shea butter and the coconut oil, sorry. So the first step is, shea butter and coconut oil. So 2 tablespoons of both. And if you have a microwave, use a microwave safe dish and melt down both in 10-second intervals until they are completely melted and the shea butter has dissolved. Yesterday being such a warm day, I actually didn't bother with melting it down. I just mixed it in together. Then once you've got those melted down and mixed in together, you then stir in a 1/4 cup of the aloe vera gel into the melted mixture. You can add extra fragrances, additional oils for a fragrance if you so choose. I didn't because, to be honest, I quite like the smell of coconut oil and shea butter and as well as an aloe vera, so I actually quite enjoy those. It kind of reminds me of summer anyway, so I didn't bother with that. And then once you've combined them all, you pop it in the fridge for 30 minutes to solidify. So just 30 minutes. It doesn't have to stay in the fridge. And then you take it out and you scrunch a small amount into your wet hair after washing, or if as or in curly hair, you kind of need to constantly be wetting it every morning to reactivate the curl anyway. So scrunch a small amount into your wet hair to moisturize and define the curls. And this is the result. So I am very happy because my curl is a lot more defined than, if you noticed from last week's video, where I hadn't discovered this yet, a lot more defined than from last week's video, which is amazing. So very, very happy. So once again, the recipe is 2 tablespoons coconut oil to 2 tablespoons shea butter melted together. So you melt them together and mix them in. Then add the 1/4 cup of aloe vera gel. Mix that in, pop it in the fridge for 30 minutes to solidify, and you have your very own hair mousse, basically, and a fabulous one that it is. So super excited I found this. We'll be back on crystals next week unless something else pops up that I get a bit excited about in the aromatherapy world, and come back with another recipe for you. But until then, we will be back a bit later on the week with the next of ours. Actually, it's a big one on Thursday. We are going to be discussing the Sumerian goddess Inanna, and there's a lot of lore about her. She's one of the few gods and goddesses of Sumerian mythology we actually do have a lot of. So it's going to be a big video on Thursday. So super excited about that. We will be back a little bit later on in the week with that one. And next week, like I said, we'll be back on the crystals unless something else crops up aromatherapy wise. So until then, I hope everybody enjoys their week. If you're in Melbourne, happy Melbourne Cup tomorrow. If you are into the horses at all, I will most likely be, depending what the weather's doing, either out in the garden or hibernating indoors, depending what this weather does. But we'll find out tomorrow, I guess. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll chat soon. Bye!